It's McKenna. Welcome back. Or welcome if you're new here. If you're not new here, you are well aware that I have zero self-control, and because of that, I've ended up with a personal collection of more than 850 books. And to be clear, that's not my TBR. That's just my entire collection. Hello? What the f? Anyway. What was I saying?
System failure.
Oh right, this is my entire personal collection, read or unread. And I realized the other day as I was looking through my shelves, some I have literally no idea where the f they came from. I have never heard of before, I've never seen before, and it's like they just magically appeared in my office at some point. I'm currently in the middle of filming a reorganizing my books, redoing my office type of video, and I bought, you can see like a little glimpse, I bought 3 whole ass new bookshelves because the bookshelves that I already had weren't vibing with the number of books that I own. I mean, I'm a full-on book hoarder and I've never gotten rid of a book in my entire life. I anthropomorphize objects, items, and my brain tells me that the item will feel sad and abandoned if I get rid of it. But I'm sick of myself and the way that I do things. So I wanted to ease my way into feeling okay unhauling books. So I've decided that today I'm going to go through my shelves, pull off any books that I've never heard of before. I don't know how they got there or who brought them into my home. Any book that seems like it may have just apparated into my office without my knowledge. And I'm gonna read the first chapter of each book and do my first ever unhaul based on first chapter vibes only. And I'm gonna try to not get sad over my anthropomorphized books as I do it. So give me a second, let me go gather books. Okay, so I have 32 books here that are strangers to me. They are strangers in my own home. Technically, a few of these are books that I'm aware of. I'm just not really feeling so much anymore. Sorry. So I'm just gonna lump them in here. This is 32 first chapters that I'm gonna have to read, and I'm really hoping that at least some of these have short first chapters. I just finished reading a book last night that every single chapter is like 30 pages. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that these have short chapters. So I guess the first one I'm gonna do is Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. Single mother Kate Reese is on the run. Determined to improve life for herself and her son Christopher, she flees an abusive relationship in the middle of the night with her child. Then Christopher vanishes. For 6 long days, no one can find him. Until Christopher emerges from the woods at the edge of town, unharmed but not unchanged. He returns with a voice in his head only he can hear, with a mission only he can complete, or his mother and everyone in the town will never be the same again. I've never read a book by Stephen Chbosky. Wait, the #1 best-selling author of The Perks of Being a Wallflower? Okay, so I have read a book by Stephen Chbosky, just not a horror book. Murphy? Good girl, lay down. I can't help but feel like this is gonna be one I'm gonna get rid of, because this is not the type of horror book that I'm into. Domestic settings, children going missing. It's not really the kind of shit that I'm into. I'm fairly new to horror. It's only been the past year that I've been reading horror. But so far, what I've liked has been weirder than this. Whale Fall, Our Wives Into the Sea. What else is back there? Yeah, weirder, less domestic, but let's see. How long is the first chapter? Okay, this is not that bad. There's a prelude and then the first chapter. In total, it's like 9 pages. I'm getting rid of Imaginary Friend. I already know that. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna read this. I already know. I tried to spoil myself by going and reading the last chapter, and holy shit, I have no idea what's going on. So I'm trying to find a spoiler review. Oh, here's one. Because I already know I'm getting rid of it. I don't care about being spoiled. I just wasn't into any of it. It's too domestic. There's too many children involved. Not that I'm against children being in books. This book involving children, it just wasn't it for me. I went and I read like the last 10 or 15 pages out of 700 also. With it being that long, it's just not worth it for me to put that much effort into a book that I'm like not excited about. So now I'm looking up a spoiler review to try and explain what I missed in the middle 640 pages. Well, I read a spoiler review and I still don't understand what's going on. So I'm okay getting rid of this. This is officially the first book that I have ever unhauled. and I'm so sorry, and I appreciate you. What does she say? Wait, Marie Kondo. What does Marie Kondo tell me I'm supposed to say to these books? Okay, so the KonMari method. Expressing gratitude to your belongings for taking care of you. Giving thanks is a way of properly saying goodbye so you can mark the end of your relationship with the item and release it without guilt. Thank you for being here with me. I'm sorry that I don't know who you are or how you came to be in my home. I'm now going to find you a new home with someone who can love you better in the next step of your journey. Bye! Oh, am I showing too much? I guess not. You can take a peek at my new bookshelves. Don't look too hard, but there they are. Pachinko by Minjin Lee is the next one. I picked this up at a used bookstore in Ireland. I think I picked it up because I knew how many people have read this, but I don't think I looked into it any further than that. Korea in 1911, a club-footed, cleft-lipped man marries a 15-year-old girl. Oh, we're off to a great start. The couple have one child, their beloved daughter Sunja. When Sunja falls pregnant by a married Yakuza, the family face ruin. But then a Christian minister offers a chance of salvation, a new life in Japan as his wife. Following a man she barely knows to a hostile country where she has no friends and no home, Sunja's salvation is just the beginning of her story. It sounds very touching, sounds very moving. It also sounds like it has a whole lot of stuff in it that I'm not super interested in within the construct of my books. How long is our first chapter? 10 pages. Whoa. My ADHD is so strong right now. I just read the first 3 sentences like 3 times, and each time I forgot to start paying attention to the words. So let's try that again, and let's pay attention to the words that we're reading on the page we're reading them from. Okay, lock in. Second book I'm unhauling. This is easy. Unhauling is easy. I don't know what I was so worried about. I can't quite put my finger on what I wasn't a fan of with Pachinko, except for the fact that we have sentences like, this family is trying to find a husband for their 4th daughter. It said the girl, Yangjin, was the last of the 4 girls and the easiest to unload because she was too young to complain and she'd had the least to eat. And I understand differences in time period. I understand cultural differences. I understand that. Doesn't mean that it's pleasant to read. And I'm also just I'm not big on historical fiction. And so Pachinko will be leaving my shelves. Thank you for being here. I love you. Next is called Cock and Bull by Will Self. And I actually don't think that you know what? I'll show it. I will just blur out the boobies that are on the front. Oh, not just boobies. We got genitals, people. I'm gonna blur a whole bunch of this stuff out. I'm not gonna be able to get rid of this book no matter what, because this is my mom's. I just realized. So actually, I'm going to put this aside because I can't get rid of it because it's my mom's and she wants me to read it at some point, so I'm gonna have to read it at some point no matter what. Which means that next is actually The Brief History of the Dead by Kevin Brockmeyer. No clue where this is from. No clue what this is about. It was on my science fiction shelf. The city is inhabited by the recently departed, who reside there only as long as they remain in the memories of the living. On Earth, Laura Bird is trapped by extreme weather in an Antarctic research station. She's alone and unable to contact the outside world. She's running out of supplies as quickly as she's running out of time. How long is our first chapter? 18 pages, a little longer. Give me a few minutes. Okay, I'm keeping it. This actually seems pretty cool. It's basically about like a midway afterlife. Between living and the actual afterlife, a purgatory of sorts, but it doesn't seem like it's a bad purgatory. There's some famous quote, it's something like you die twice. Once when your body fails you, and then once when the last person stops talking about you? What is it? Oh, it's a Hemingway quote. Okay. Every man has 2 deaths. When he's buried in the ground and the last time someone says his name. In some ways, men can be immortal. You don't actually die when you die. I have to think of a better way to say that. So you have your corporeal death, you have the death of your body, but your second death comes when you stop making an impact on anyone that's still on Earth. When the last person who knew you stops talking about you, when you stop being talked about. And this is about the midway point between here and the afterlife, where you go until people stop talking about you. Also, there's a storyline of a woman who is still on Earth in an Antarctic research station. And one of the prompts in my TBR fishbowl, which if you haven't watched the video of me making the TBR fishbowl, go watch it. But one of the prompts is a book that's set in Antarctica. I can use this for that. So we're keeping A Brief History of the Dead. I've only been through 4 books. And what did I say? 32? I've got 28 books left. I have to do this faster. Next is Blown by Mark Haskell Smith. Not a f***ing clue what this is. Oh, I don't know about this one. This guy has a job on Wall Street because he was like a little boy genius, but then he realizes he doesn't want to do that anymore. He finds that being honest at a dishonest job is not the path to finding your bliss. So he comes up with a plan to steal a bunch of money and then move to the Caribbean and just live on a yacht. So he becomes a criminal, he finds himself on the run wanted for murder, blah 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 blah, something about a crime boss. I feel like I'm gonna wind up getting rid of this because I do not care about crime books. Goodreads is saying things like really fun and sexy. Pure fun escapist literature. 15 pages. I almost kept Blown. I was very close. I read the first chapter and then I flipped through a couple of pages. It's funny. I don't want to come off like there's anything wrong with this book because it's not. I think that the Goodreads reviews that I had read were correct. It's probably just like a funny, sexy, escapist time for someone who cares about like a crime heist Wall Street kind of book, which I don't. So Blown will be getting unhauled. So that's 3 out of 5. Next on the chopping block is Happiness Falls by Angie Kim. I do know where I got this actually, and it's from someone in my personal life, and I'm really glad that they don't watch my videos because I don't want to make them sad by letting them know that I might be unhauling a book that they recently gave me. But to be fair, this person does not know that I'm not a big mystery thriller girl. There's a family in Virginia, the father/husband goes missing, the brother comes through the front door bloody and alone, but the brother has a rare genetic condition called Angelman syndrome and cannot speak. So not only is this a mystery thriller, which I hardly read, but it is also a domestic mystery thriller, which is not my cup of tea. The first chapter is 13 pages. Let's see how this goes. Okay, another one that I almost kept, but at the end of the day, I really don't think, if I'm gonna try and get myself to like mystery thriller books, I don't think that a domestic story is the way to do it. It's the same thing with romance. Any kind of romance book that I've read that's like a very domestic, contemporary, just like normal, regular people in this time period going through regular people things, none of it has ever caught my attention. So, well, I believe this is probably a very good book. I will be getting rid of it. Thank you for being here. Next up is going to be this weird guy. It's... what? It's called S, and it's by J.J. Abrams. And then inside is a book called The Ship of Theseus? I don't understand what's going on. Oh! Oh, shit. Okay. It's a mixed media book, which I've never read before, I don't think. How do I even... oh my god, how do I even read this? One book, two readers, a world of mystery, menace, and desire. A young woman picks up a book left behind by a stranger. Inside are his margin notes. She responds with notes of her own, leaving the book for the stranger, and begins a conversation that plunges them both into the unknown. The book is The Ship of Theseus, the final novel by a prolific but enigmatic writer named V.M. Straka, in which a man with no past is shanghaied onto a strange ship with a monstrous crew and launched onto a disorienting and perilous journey. Huh. How do I do this? Oh my god, how do I read this? What the fuck am I supposed to do here? Even on the translator's note and forward, there's all these notes written in the margin, and then this piece of paper that came out of it that says confidential in German? Is it German? How the f***? Oh my god. You know what? I'm skipping this. I'm just gonna keep it. I'm gonna put it back onto my shelf and I'm gonna pretend like I didn't pick that up. We're gonna pretend like we never touched that because that was too confusing to deal with right now. I'm just not gonna do it. Which means next is Annabelle by Kathleen Winter. Where the f*** did this come from? There is a flyer for Lufthansa in there. What? It's an intimate portrait of the family of a mixed-gendered child born into a remote blue-collar seaside town in eastern Canada. A child is born in 1968, a baby who appears to be neither fully boy nor fully girl, but both at once. They make the decision to raise the child as a boy, but the women continue to quietly nurture the boy's female side. I wonder how this was received. Let's look this up and see... A wonderful exploration of the meanings of gender throughout the life of an intersex child, written with compassion. Okay. Alright. I was nervous about, you know, some books mean well and then they just come off as harmful, but apparently this one is fine. This, oh god, we've got deckled edges, which I cannot stand. 16 pages. Okay, we're keeping Annabelle. This feels like an important novel, and I do not have enough books about intersex people and the lives of intersex people, and that's on me. So far, what I've seen, the writing is beautiful. So Annabelle, we're keeping. Next is The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry, which has a beautiful cover, and I have no idea what you're about. We're in London in 1893. Cora Seaborn's husband died. She moves to coastal Essex, where she hears rumors that after nearly 300 years, the mythical Essex Serpent, a fearsome creature that once roamed the marches, has returned. She wants to investigate. She meets the vicar. They are drawn together. What genre is this even? Historical fiction, historical, literary fiction, gothic, mystery, romance. What is this book about? What are you? Okay, well, I have no idea. This is very confusing.
How many pages?
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Okay, so the first chapter is 28 pages. Not a whole lot to say about the Essex Serpent, except for that I'm keeping it, and the writing was too beautiful to not keep it. And that's kind of my only reasoning. I still don't understand what this book is about at all. But gorgeous writing, so she is staying with me. Next is Invisible Monsters by Chuck Palahniuk, and I know that he's a pretty divisive writer, and I don't think I've ever read anything by him. Let's see how this goes. This woman is a fashion model who has everything, but she gets in an accident that leaves her disfigured and incapable of speech. Oh, becoming an invisible monster. Okay, I don't love that. Blah, blah, blah. Salvation hides in the last places you'll ever want to look. This review says quite possibly the most f***ed up piece of literature I've ever read. This novel is a brilliantly executed train wreck from beginning to end. Okay? 8 pages. That was one of the more unhinged first chapters I've ever read. So we're keeping the Chuck Palahniuk. Next up is The Paris Wife by Paula McLean, a fictionalized story about Hadley and Ernest Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald and all of them, the Hemingways becoming part of the hard-drinking, fast-living, free-loving life of jazz-age Paris. The first chapter is only 4 pages. I might regret this, and I might change my mind later, but I'm gonna keep The Paris Wife. I'm not big on historical fiction, but something about the writing makes me want to try it out at some point. I don't know. If 5 years from now I still haven't read this book, maybe I'll get rid of it. For now, I think she's gonna stay with me for now. And then next up is The History of Love by Nicole Krauss. Where did this come from? Leo is an old man trying to survive a little bit longer. 60 years ago, he fell in love and wrote a book, which has crossed oceans and generations and changed lives. 14-year-old Alma was named after a character in that book. When a mysterious letter arrives in the mail, she undertakes an adventure to find her namesake and save her family. Is this also historical fiction? It is historical fiction! Why do I have so many historical fiction books if I don't read historical fiction? for my grandparents who taught me the opposite of disappearing. That's sweet. Oh no. Okay, so the first chapter is 26 pages. Okay, the history of love seems like it's going to be immeasurably sad, which means that I cannot get rid of it because I love to read things that make me want to die. So I'm no longer doing as well as I was in the beginning. I have gotten rid of 3 books and I'm keeping 9. Okay, well, we're almost done with the stack on the floor, so hopefully the stack on the table will do better with it. For now, the next up is The Dud Avocado by Elaine Dundee. Follows the romantic and comedic adventures of a young American who heads overseas to conquer Paris in the late 1950s. It remains a timeless portrait of a woman hell-bent on living. I really don't know where this book came from. Oh my god, come on. 29 pages. Do people not know that we like short chapters? I was going to get rid of the Dud Avocado, but there's nothing more relatable than the dream of being young and free and being a slut in Paris. So I'm not doing as well as I would have liked here. The Red Tent by Anita Diamant. Not a clue where this came from, what it's about, what's going on. Apparently it's another historical fiction book, which is just so astonishing to me because I don't read historical fiction. What are all of you doing in my house? Her name is Dinah. In the Bible, her life is only hinted at in a brief and violent detour. What? She's a character in the Bible? Okay, I'm not even reading. I'm not going to read the synopsis. Historical fiction about a woman from the Bible. This couldn't be further away from anything that has to do with me or my life. 25 pages. Let's see. I have no explanation for this, but I want to keep this book. It's hyper-religious, and the first chapter was a little strange and had some taboo going on in there, but the writing is so beautiful, and I don't know. I don't understand my draw to this book, but it's there. So I'm gonna keep it, which I wouldn't have guessed. There's not a single religious bone in my body, so I'm very confused as to my feelings about this, but I'm gonna keep it. Next is My Uncle Oswald by Roald Dahl. Apparently this is one of the only books that Roald Dahl has ever written that's not a children's book, and apparently it's very much not a children's book, which I could have guessed because on the cover is this old man's face with a pair of fish-netted legs. Uncle Oswald was the greatest bounder, bon vivant, and fornicator of all time. What? 13 pages. No, just no, no. No. God, the amount of times just in that first chapter that the words throbbing and member came up, no. I can smell the misogyny just in the first chapter. I know what's coming with the rest of the... No, just no. No. The last book that was from the floor pile is The Deeper the Water, the Uglier the Fish by Katya Apekina. 16-year-old Edie finds her mother barely alive after attempting to remedy the alive situation in herself. Edie and her sister are forced to move from their childhood home to New York to live with their estranged father, Dennis. Soon their close relationship begins to fall apart. Why did I buy this book? What? See, okay. I know that I bought this one. Some of these didn't just randomly appear in my office. I bought this one. But why? Why did I do this? Okay, it has great reviews. Okay, the first chapter is only 2 pages, or 3 pages. I'm confused. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna put this into a third pile. The deeper the water, the uglier the fish is going into a maybe pile. If anyone has read this, can you let me know in the comments, please, whether I should keep this or get rid of it, because I am lost. Make the decision for me, please, because I don't want to. We're on our table pile. 15 books. We're only halfway through. What the fuck? Okay, we have to go faster. The next book is called Savage Appetites: 4 True Stories of Women, Crime, and Obsession by Rachel Monroe. I don't need to read the synopsis. It's just 4 true stories of women, crime, and obsession. This one's leaving. I'm not a true crime girl. I don't listen to the podcasts. I don't watch the documentaries. I'm just not into true crime. An easy goodbye. Oh wait, thank you. Sorry to the last few in that pile. Thank you for your service. Next is called The 2 Kinds of Decay by Sarah Manguso. A 21-year-old woman develops a wildly unpredictable disease that appears without warning. It tears through her 20s, vanishing and then returning, often paralyzing her for weeks at a time. Oh, this is nonfiction. I'm gonna keep The 2 Kinds of Decay. I didn't realize that it was a memoir about this woman's experience with her disease. It seems like it's written kind of like prose. Whoa, come on. Each chapter is like 1 or 2 pages, and it's written almost like poetry. Next up is The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, which I do kind of know what it is. I know that this was like a cult classic self-help book kind of a deal. And I just don't know if I need that in my life. I don't know if we need that around here. Let's see how culty this is. Whoa, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 2 star, 1 star, 1 star. Oh my god. So it seems like this might be an actual cult book. Talking about a great secret. You'll learn how to use the great secret in every aspect of your life. Money, health, relationships, happiness. You'll begin to understand the hidden, untapped power that's... Okay, so this kind of seems like a book written by someone who would say, don't be depressed. Just think about the positives. Why are you so anxious? Why are you so anxious? Just don't worry about it. Oh, eradicating disease. Okay, so Rhonda Byrne is claiming that this great secret of life can eradicate disease. Ooh, I smell some bullshit. Let's see what the secret is. I'm gonna spoil this book, because this lady. What is the secret? We all work with one infinite power. The secret is the law of attraction. If you're telling me that the law of attraction can eradicate disease, you. Alright, well, so long. The next few are self-help books. While I do love a good self-help book from time to time, I have somehow acquired a few that don't seem to vibe with the kind of self-help book that I'm usually into. The first of those is David and Goliath. Malcolm Gladwell challenges how we think about obstacles and disadvantages, offering a new interpretation of what it means to be discriminated against, or suffer from a disability, or lose a parent, or attend a mediocre school, or experience any number of other apparent setbacks. Okay, let's see. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. This will be great for someone. It's not my type of shit. Next we have a second Malcolm Gladwell book, which is called Outliers, The Story of Success. We focus far too much on successful people's intelligence and ambition and personality traits, instead of the world that surrounds the successful, their culture, their family, their generation, and the idiosyncratic experiences of their upbringing. Found a family photo inside the book. I've apparently had this book for a very long time. When I was 14, maybe? I give up. I'm just gonna get rid of both Malcolm Gladwell books. Maybe Malcolm Gladwell is just not the dude for me. And that's okay. He's the dude for a lot of people. Not for me. Next is a book that looks like a Malcolm Gladwell book, but it is not. Thinking Fast and Slow by Danielle Kahneman. Danielle Kahneman takes us on a groundbreaking tour of the mind and explains the 2 systems that drive the way we think. System 1 is fast, intuitive, and emotional. System 2 is slower, more deliberative, and more logical. The impact of overconfidence on corporate strategies, the difficulties of predicting what will make us happy in the future, the profound effect of cognitive biases on everything from playing the stock market to planning our next vacation. Each of these can be understood only by knowing how the 2 systems shape our judgments and decisions. He reveals where we can and cannot trust our intuitions and how we can tap into the benefit of slow thinking. I cannot imagine I'm gonna keep this book. Simply cannot. It has great reviews. It's probably a fantastic book, but it's just not my jam. No. Again, these are probably good books. They have helped a lot of people. It's just not my cup of tea. Speaking of not my cup of tea, The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, a practical guide to personal freedom. Another one gone. I feel like The Four Agreements is like the very first self-help book that a lot of people read. That's perfectly fine, but it is far from the first self-help book I would have read, so therefore I don't need it. I don't need it here. It doesn't need to live with me anymore. Thank you. Thank you for your service. I'm gonna switch to the big camera for this one, actually. This next book, I really don't know how it arrived in my house, and anyone who knows me might be shocked to see it in my house, as was I when I just found it, because this next book is called Change Your Mindset, Not Your Man. And never in my life have I purchased a book that is anything like what this appears to be. So I'm interested to see what the this is. Learn to love what's right instead of trying to fix what's wrong. I'm gonna skip everything that just happened. It seems like this is actually a good book for learning how to better have empathy and move forward in a relationship. It just has a really, really horrible title. A really horrible title. I'm interested to see if this actually is full of good shit or bad shit. The next book is Say Her Name by Francisco Goldman, and I'm pretty sure I stole this book from my mom. Francisco Goldman met Aura Estrada. They were married in the summer of 2005. She died in an accident. He blamed himself and wanted to die too, but instead he began to write. Can already tell this is not going to be a book. I don't need to read anything, actually. This is not going to be the book for me. Say Her Name by Francisco Goldman. You are leaving my home. Maybe you'll be reunited with my mother. This next book, I don't know how to explain this one. City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. I know virtually nothing about this book, but for some reason, seeing it on my shelf fills me with rage, and I don't know why. But in my brain, even though I know nothing about this, I hate this book. I hate this book. This just fills me with anger to see it in my home. First of all, I don't know where it came from. I don't, just like most of them here, have no idea where it came from. And I am just filled with anger by looking at it. I'm filled with undeserved anger for no reason at all. Just the sight of this book makes me mad. So now, after years and years, I'm going to read the first chapter of this book that my brain has decided I hate, well, knowing nothing about it at all. This 19-year-old woman gets kicked out of college and goes to live with her aunt who owns a crumbling theater. And then all of a sudden, instead of 19, she's 89 years old and telling the story about her life. I don't know. I don't care. So I didn't hate this first chapter as much as I thought I would hate it, but nonetheless, I think I have too much resentment in my body towards this cover. So, she is leaving. Thank you for your service. Sorry that I hated you for no reason. Doris Lessing's The Fifth Child is up next, which seems to be about a couple who have their fifth child in late 1960s England. It's more of a demon than a child. He looks like a goblin, he's always hungry, he's strong and violent. He doesn't actually seem to be human. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. And there are no chapters. There are no chapters in this book. It is simply one long book. So I'm going to read the first 5 pages. This is a novella about a demon child, and I love books about demons, so we're keeping her. Third to last is Gut Shot by Amelia Gray. Oh, just kidding. Gut Shot is short stories, and I'm not getting rid of short stories. So, lo and behold, our last 2 books. The penultimate book is The Nature of Monsters by Claire Clark. In the year 1666, there's a great fire in London. A heavily pregnant woman flees the flames, and a few months later she gives birth to a child with a red birthmark. And no wonder, since everyone knows that mothers who do not protect themselves from shocking sights could turn their unborn children into monsters. So, we're off to a great start. If you have a birthmark, you're a monster. This is also the lowest rated horror book that I own. On Goodreads it has 3.16 stars, which is insanely low. So, in the very first chapter of The Nature of Monsters, our first protagonist gets finger blasted when she's in the same room as her mother, and I just don't need that in my life. Goodbye. Thank you for your for your service, whatever service that might have been. The final book is the Bloomhouse Book of Nightmares, The Haunted City. This is the most confusing cover. There are like 6 different titles of this book. And again, not a clue where this came from. Oh, what is this? Oh, there's no synopsis on here. Oh, these are short stories. You know what? I know just a minute ago I said that I am not getting rid of any short story collections. I lied, and I'm getting rid of this. Also, the cover is just too ugly for me to keep. That's it. Finally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm getting rid of 15 books, which might not sound like a lot of books to some of you, but this is the first time I've ever done an unhaul. Oh, hold on. Let me switch to the big camera. Like I was saying, this is the first time I've ever done an unhaul. So 15 books for me is great. I half expected myself to just fail this completely and never post it. To go over them once more, the books I'm getting rid of right now are Happiness Falls by Angie Kim, Blown by Mark Haskell Smith, Pachinko by Min Jin Lee, Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, Savage Appetites by Rachel Monroe, My Uncle Oswald by Roald Dahl, Say Her Name by Francisco Goldman, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell, The Bloomhouse Book of Nightmares by Jason Blum, also known as The Haunted City, I don't know. The Nature of Monsters by Claire Clark, and City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. And in case I haven't scared everyone away from wanting to read these books, which I shouldn't, it's just a personal opinion thing. But in case I haven't scared everyone away, I will be putting all of these up on Pango. I've never sold anything on Pango before, and now that I'm doing unhauls, I'm going to. So by the time that you're watching this, all of these books will be up. I'll leave the link in the description. Probably a few other books will be on there too. I was uploading footage. I realized that I actually forgot a stack of books that I've had in my office already to unhaul. So in addition to everything I just said, I'm gonna do this fast. We also have The Danish Girl by David Ebershoff, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs, Life, the Keith Richards biography, Pulling Profits Out of a Hat. I am totally unsure where that one came from. And then I have a little stack of books that are leaving because somehow accidentally I have multiple copies of all of these. And that would be A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross, Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, The House with the Golden Door by Elodie Harper, My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante, Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessel, and Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaughey. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So those 10 books will also be on Pango. I know that this video may have made everyone not want to buy these books, but just in case, they are there for you. And that's all. I just filmed for about 4 hours. I'm tired. I'm hungry. That's it. That's all. If you can hear me, if you can read the subtitles, I love you. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope I see you again very soon. Bye.